You know those moments when somebody's shoving information down your throat and they're like, oh, and by the way, there's going to be a quiz at the end. And you know that you have to take in all the information, try and remember it all, whether you're sitting there taking notes, trying to listen, getting all that information into yourself, knowing that you're going to have to regurgitate it at some point. It's overwhelming, and there's only a certain amount that you can actually take in. And this is what many people don't realize, leaders, as well as when you're going into a corporate training, a keynote, a conference, that we have to take into consideration when we're trying to train our teams. This is known as absorptive capacity. What is it that I can recognize, assimilate, transform, and apply the new knowledge to doing what we need to do? We're learning. How are we learning so that we can adapt it and so we can innovate with that knowledge? And so many times we learn a lot of things, we take in the knowledge, we go through learning and development pieces, and there's only so much we can take in. So how do we start to do this as a leader, training somebody into what they need to be doing, or bring in somebody to train our teams in a way that actually makes it to where that training is worthwhile? So we're not just throwing money out the window, whether that's the time that our employees and our leaders are taking to do the training or bringing somebody in. And so that's something that I want to chat through today as we start to talk about this idea of absorptive capacity. So there's 4 different pieces within this that I want you to consider as a leader when you're trying to train your team. That first one is acquisition. So what exactly is acquisition? It's gathering new knowledge from external sources. So for example, there could be a sports team that's keeping up with the latest training techniques or mental performance strategies. These are things that we're learning in science that are coming out. Who is pulling those things together to acquire them, and who is teaching those things? So we can think about this in a simple term of keeping your ears open for good ideas. These are things that we see on LinkedIn. These are these kinds of videos that you're watching right now. The second part is assimilation. So what does that mean? It means understanding and interpreting the acquired knowledge. So when we assimilate something, we're not just hearing it, we're understanding it and then interpreting it to what we need to interpret that for. So with the same example, the team takes those new training techniques and really grasps how they work. So this could be learning through examples, seeing it through other teams that have been doing it. And if we simplify this down to its core, it's figuring out how this new idea actually makes sense for us. What does this look like if we were to do this? This is that brainstorming of, if we took this technique and used it in this game, or we took this technique and used it in our organization, what would that look like for us? Third piece is transformation. This is combining the new knowledge with what you already know to make it useful. So this is taking those old SOPs, that old playbook, and putting it into the new ways of doing things. A lot of times this means change. This can mean, hey, we thought things worked this way, and now we know that they actually work this way. This can be trial and error. This can be new science that's coming out. This can be other things that we're learning as we go through things. And this example could be the team adapts the new techniques to fit their existing routines and training plans. And when that's boiled down, this comes down to tweaking what we learned to fit our way of doing things. So how does this SOP that now we know that there's this new software, for example, that we can automate things faster? Or here's AI. This is a great example for AI. We're using it as, here's what we've always done, and here's how we're training into the new things that we learn so that we can make our jobs easier, faster, more efficient long term. And then finally, the last piece is exploitation, which a lot of times, unfortunately, is used as a bad term. But in this sense, it means that we're applying that transformed knowledge to create real value or make those improvements to push ourselves forward. The example that we can use for the team is they've successfully used the new technique to practice and see improved performance over time. This means that we're using that thing over and over again, seeing that it's working for us. And at the end of the day, this is putting the idea into action and seeing those results. Because when we take in new ideas, we're making sense of them, we're fitting them into what you already do and using them to make things better. That's when we start to see training actually work for organizations and for people. So as a leader, as somebody who's training people, taking into consideration how much of this knowledge can somebody take in at one time. This might mean doing things in shorter spans. This might mean doing a keynote and then doing a more ingrained, hey, we need that hands-on kind of work together. Because I can tell you, as somebody who's been thrown into things going, okay, here's a job, do it. That doesn't always work for people. So as you're looking for people to come and train your team, I'd love to have a conversation of how I can help train your leaders on how to train better, or come in and train your team alongside your leaders in order to have this kind of assimilation take place, so that you can not just learn the things and have the head knowledge, but you can actually do the things and execute on what you want for the rest of this year and into next year. So love to get on a call with you. You can find a time on my calendar at kabrinaashley.com/strategy-call. And I would love to see how I can help you and your team.